Hi viewers, welcome to another knowledge sharing episode. I am your host Rita Kusi and welcome to 30 Minutes with HR. 30 Minutes with HR is a partnership program between KUSI Consulting and the Association of African Universities. I would like to start off by thanking our sponsors, Adanse Travel. They continue to get us to our different locations. Hotel, we are currently in the Executive Lounge, and of course, Nationwide Medical Insurance. If you need healthcare insurance, be sure to give Nationwide a call. Now, today we are discussing digitally empowered human resource. What exactly does that mean? It sounds really fancy, right? We'll be right back and I'll introduce you to our special guest, so stay tuned.
Welcome to Adanse Travel's Product Knowledge Series. And I'm excited to talk to you about our FIT tour service, where you get the opportunity to customize the product to your taste. And with that, we take your details, your destination you want to go, the date you want to travel. We're able to do it to suit your budget. So you don't need to worry about breaking the bank when you are traveling with this kind of service. You can visit us as the details are on the screen as you see, or you can call us on the numbers showing on the screen. Let's plan your trip for you, and you know with Adanse, we always let you feel the beauty of life.
Adanse Travel feels life's beauty.
Hello viewers, welcome back to 30 Minutes with HR. Today we are discussing digitally empowered human resource. What exactly do we mean by that? We are joined by Peter Crabbe.
Hello.
Hello. And Peter is actually the founder and lead at Novaturient Foundation. I said, you say it, Peter.
Novaturient.
Novaturient Foundation. And I actually tried to say it in French, Novaturient. And you said no, that it's... All right. So I'm so excited to have you on set. You're looking very sharp today. Welcome.
Thank you, Rita.
Excellent. So are you ready to get the conversation started?
Yeah.
Excellent. So now, you actually just finished putting on the Digital HR Summit, which I was fortunate to be a part of. Amazing event, amazing turnout, very relevant conversations. Tell us a bit about what actually inspired the summit.
Thank you for coming. And
My
thanks
pleasure.
to all my speakers for coming.
Sure.
I think basically wanted to create a forum where HR professionals will come together, not just HR professionals, but leaders, educationists, because they are also preparing the workforce of tomorrow.
Exactly.
Managers, people who are in corporate Ghana to come together and start the discussion around preparing the human resource for the future that is coming. I mean, we can't do anything about it.
Exactly. It's here.
Digitization is here. It's even going to get bigger and bigger, faster and faster. So how do we start talking about it and preparing for it? That is the first one. The second one is to create discomfort. Because so long as we are comfortable, we'll not do anything.
There's no change.
It is only when we become uncomfortable and we are hit with the realities that we begin to make moves to prepare for it. That is the second one. And finally, to create a forum where the discussions will continue. So what we hope to do after the forum is to set up either a WhatsApp group and even invite the attendees and the speakers to our Facebook page and continue the discussions there and prepare for next year.
Exactly. I love continue the discussions there because it should never just be a one-time initiative. What happens afterward? For me, it's all about the follow-up. What happens afterwards? Yep. A colleague of mine in the US actually, we were on the phone and they asked if HR in Ghana is using AI. And I said we are not close to I don't think we are.
Some are using AI.
Okay, she asked me specifically. We are using, and I said I don't think we're there yet. But some are actually using it.
Yeah, I know Vodafone is in that
of course, the multinationals who are actually able to afford, I think they are definitely using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's very interesting. And I like that you mentioned to make people uncomfortable. I actually asked you if your foundation, Novaturient, is HR focused, and your response was?
It's a development focus.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that it's a not-for-profit organization.
Okay.
We've come together, we have volunteers, and we work together just to make sure that we reach out to people with information that otherwise they will not have access. And we say that we help people find their eureka moments.
Wow.
Because, I mean, let's face it, once a while, you meet somebody who might just say a word that can transform your life in terms of changing your orientation, changing your thinking, and making you make a move. And we've been organizing breakfast meetings. I think the last one we brought Yolanda Kuba in to talk to us about career. Wow. We also had one on finance, retirement planning and financial management. Okay. That was when we started having the financial crisis in the banking sector. Okay. We had one that talked about grooming, because, I mean, let's face it, if you walk anyhow to any office, nobody will pay attention to you. Personal
if you don't
branding. If you don't dress well to office, nobody will take you serious.
Exactly.
I heard a director once say, can this person represent our brand?
Wow.
So every time you go to work, the question that you have to ask yourself is, can I represent the brand? Because that is some of the things that will go into the decision making when you are being offered opportunities. So we had a program around that for people to understand that the way you carry yourself is equally important.
Quite important, because you represent the organization, not just yourself, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we support it with so the breakfast meetings, we have it quarterly. Okay. And then the Digital HR Summit, we are having it annually. Yeah. But we also have other products in the pipeline.
I walked in the room and I just saw so many HR professionals. I mean, some faces I've seen before, but a lot of faces that I've not. So it just makes me really happy that a lot of young professionals are venturing into human resource. But the role that I think you and I have is we have to be able to properly groom them and make sure that they understand the functions of HR. And you're doing really good at it so far. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a quote from you regarding the HR Summit, and then we'll go right into the questions. The future of work is going to be driven by technology, and that human resource HR departments of organizations should be able to understand and incorporate the digital culture into the workplace and prepare the minds of workers to be able to flow and work effectively. How do businesses establish a digital culture, and how can HR lead the change?
Okay. So, I mean, for me, the first thing to do is to read, right? As HR, you need to abreast yourself with the changes that are happening in the workplace today. That is the first thing. You should even go on to even read about what people are thinking about that has not yet been implemented, what people are piloting. Then begin to put it together and see how that is going to affect the workplace. Once you're able to get the picture, then you begin to come up with your strategy on how to do it. Okay. You also need buy-in, of course. If you happen to be in an organization where the CEO and other functions have already begun to adopt and implement technology within their space, it makes it easier for you. Otherwise, you have to take the challenge and take the initiative. And I say that the role of HR basically is to bring out the best in employees so that the company can also achieve its aim and even exceed. It is the collective effort of the individuals working in organization that will make the business realize its end game, profitability or impact that it wants to do. How can HR do that?
Yes.
By making people efficient, by giving them the tools. And if you give people tools and you don't orient them mentally, psychologically, then it's equally not going to
chaos.
Give you. Yeah. So you need to work on the culture. Let the people also come along with you that, look, the future is changing. It's not what we see today, it's changing. So you need to come along. and then begin to train them, begin to expose them, and then give them the tools that they need. The other thing you need to do is to recruit right. Where are you going? What kind of people are going to help you get there? So as you are training the people internally, you are recruiting those who are already there to come and join to help in driving the culture. Now, one thing that I also read is that from Exponential Organization is that organizations have immunity, especially conservative, long established organizations that have done things in a particular way over and over and over, have got to a point that they say, this is the way we do things, tradition, culture.
But that's how we...
That is
that's how we are here.
That is how we are. So for organizations like that, if you try to implement digitization wholesale, you are likely to have challenges.
Yes.
So can you look at starting from the periphery and then build it in? So can you pick one organization that nobody really cares much about and then start from there and then let everybody see the impact that it's making and then people will accept it. The other thing that you can do is to start automating some of your processes. And there are so many tools out there that you can use to do that. So maybe one process, let's say learning.
Yes. So
you go to Khan's Academy or Coursera or any of them, and even LinkedIn, and say, look, I want a resource for my people. How can you give me a corporate deal? Then you buy that, you let your employees begin to feel it and enjoy it. It gives them the mobility, they know at home, at work, in the trotro, in the taxi, they can still learn. Okay. And then they begin to see the benefits of it. Then gradually you begin to add other bits and pieces to it. You made reference to Amma. Yes, I think you didn't stay long. But if you are listening to Ashoka as well, she also made reference to some of the digital tools that is used in Vodafone, like recruitment. So Vodafone can do a whole recruitment without necessarily seeing
you in person. Exactly.
Yeah, so there's this tool that is called HighView.
Wow.
So, in normal recruitment, you will want maybe 4 or 5 people to interview one person. So sometimes getting everybody in the room for the person to come is a challenge, and that affects the recruitment process. So Vodafone has the HighView tool. So all they need to do is to record the questions, and then it's sent to the candidate.
Wow.
So the candidate can find, maybe given 2 days to answer the questions and return it. So what is the most convenient time for the candidate? The candidate need not go and tell the manager stories about not well and other things and go out and go for interviews. I mean, the things we say when we want to go for interviews outside, when we don't want our employers to know. So the candidates can simply find the most appropriate time, maybe in the evening. Just log on. All the candidate needs is a tablet, a computer with internet access. Log on, answer the questions because it will also be recorded, and then it's sent back.
Is there a point, because so at KUSI Consulting, we leverage technology as well for all of our processes. But for us, we also feel that human interaction, because that's when you really get a sense of an individual's soft skills. This is why technology cannot really replace human 100% because of that. So is there a point that you actually get to meet the candidates through that process?
Well, at least there's a point.
Okay.
But look at the time that is being eliminated.
Exactly.
You understand? Yes. Through that process, yes, where you cannot get people into a room. Now the candidate finishes, sends the interview responses back. All the people who need to hear the person at their convenience get to watch and listen.
Yes.
Then decision is made. You narrow down, And then you can invite your 2 or 3 and then know who is available to talk to them, because everybody would have experienced the candidate digitally. So this is what is also happening in a place like Vodafone. So people are doing a lot of things within that space. So coming back to your question, how do you digitize HR? These are some of the steps. One, you need to you need to get the buy-in of your senior leadership team. You need to do a lot of training to prepare people mentally for it. And then you also need to recruit the right people to join the organization who are already in the space to come and, cause, challenge the people within the organization to begin to make them move. You need to, you start to introduce the tools either from the periphery or line by line. You don't go wholesale.
Exactly.
You can just take one aspect of your processes, introduce it there, and then people get to see the benefit. Then you take another bit, you introduce it, take another bit and introduce it.
That's actually a good point. So then you get them accustomed to one process, they see the benefits, and then
they get
take
a buy-in.
it from there. Yeah.
They become receptive.
Okay.
And then go on to...
Okay. So you mentioned, obviously, by using technology, time, convenience. Another thing I want to throw out there is flexibility. So you don't have to be in one place, especially, we deal with a lot of traffic here, in Accra. And for me, if I'm able to cut that down by using technology, I remember there was a potential client and they wanted to come all the way to our office. They are in North Kenashi, just to drop off assigned agreements, recruitment agreements. And I said, but you can scan it and send it to us. So I thought it was a bit, you would sit in traffic all these hours just to come on and drop. I just thought it was a bit ridiculous. So I think these are the advantages that we have in using technology.
And just to add, where you cannot avoid the traffic, right? Because of technology, you can make very good use of the time that you have in a car.
Exactly.
If you have audiobooks that you are listening to while sitting in traffic, you are making good use of the time to upgrade yourself as well.
So how relevant is it for HR to adapt to this digital era and leverage on technology advancement?
They're relevant. You are leading. Okay, let me put it. You are responsible for culture.
Yes.
That is one. So if you don't understand, how can you introduce the culture that will make the people receptive?
Okay.
That is one. 2, what are you recruiting if you don't understand what you are recruiting? If you don't know the future, what are you recruiting for? Because when you are recruiting, you are not just recruiting for today, but you are recruiting for today and tomorrow.
Future. Exactly.
What are you recruiting for? Training. What are you training for? Because in terms of development, you are developing for today and tomorrow. What are you developing for? You understand? And then just to read, it says that by 2025, it's estimated that digital natives will account for 76% of the global workforce. 2025 is just like
That's right around the corner.
Just around the corner.
Not that long from now.
Not that long. So in that time, if you are young like me and you are still working, how would you be able to manage this workforce? The other bit is that the growth of freelance workers is 3 times as fast as traditional workforce. This is from Forbes. And there's a new trend coming up called digital nomads.
Okay.
People who work where there is what's the name? Internet connectivity.
Wi-Fi. Oh, it's so like, there's so much of it now. Yes. So Vida Cafe, those kind of cafes
how can you even manage people like that? If you don't understand,
the culture,
to keep them motivated to continue to work and get the best out of them. Another podcast that I listened to a while ago also said, look, if you want people to come into the office, you have a chance of missing out on great talents who stay maybe 100 kilometers away from your office and they don't want to relocate because of you.
Wow.
So how can you even employ such people to work remotely and still get the best out of them?
Wow. Okay.
So there's so much happening. There's so much happening. If you don't get into it, if you don't understand it, if you don't adopt it, how can you remain relevant in the workplace of today?
Exactly. You eventually fade out. I was just making reference to companies like in the US, we have Toys R Us. Toys R Us was the biggest toy company. That's where every parent knew to get their kids' toys. And then Amazon comes about. Now Toys R Us is actually out of business. And I just found that to be a shock, because this is a major company that you never thought. You thought they would be around forever. Right. But they couldn't adapt with the change. And because they couldn't do that, same with Blockbuster. You used to go and rent movies. Yeah. And then Netflix came. And now look, Blockbuster is gone. So it's really important that we are able to adapt. So just hold your thought. This is actually interesting. I love talking digital because this is what we do. We'll be right back, viewers. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers, and thank you for joining us for another enlightening episode. Today we are discussing digitally empowered human resource. What exactly does that mean, right? It sounds a bit too fancy. And we are joined by Peter Crabbe. Peter is actually founder and lead of Novaturient Foundation, and they just finished putting on this amazing digital HR summit right here in Accra. And we're talking digital. And just before we went on break, we're just talking about how if you don't adapt to this new era, eventually you fade out. Your company eventually fades out. So now, Peter, what innovations can a digital culture bring to the world of HR and the future of work?
A lot of innovation. One, you can talk about the tools that have already been innovated that you can deploy to make your work easy and faster. And sometimes we are buried in so much work that we don't even get time to do strategy. Exactly. You get so many letters coming in that you have to write, people traveling, offer letters and everything. They can be automated. You just put in information, the letter will be generated and sent to people no letter is going to get missed in the mail, not getting there because it's electronically
Exactly.
delivered. If it doesn't go, you know, because you get a bounce back.
Exactly.
You know, that is
You
one.
can even track it nowadays. When
Yeah.
they open it or when they don't even open it, you
it.
can actually track it
Thank
nowadays.
you. So it can simplify your work for you. The other base is that now people are learning on the go. In the house, if you want to cook something that you've not cooked before, what will you do? You go to YouTube. You look for somebody who has done it, and you can get virtually everything on YouTube.
Exactly.
Then you do it. So why don't we also bring that to the workplace? By giving people access to online tools, that anytime they hit a block, they can just go online, find somebody who has done something that's, get it and off they go.
Wow.
So that is another innovation, making training less expensive, and giving people exactly what they need when they need it, and not locking them in a room for 2-3 days.
Exactly.
And then going back and forgetting everything that. Though that is also equally important because human interaction has its benefits.
It's key.
And the other bit has to do with biasness. You can eliminate a lot of biasness if you rely on data that you've generated and use that to make decisions rather than using gut feeling. So that is the other bit. And while sitting down waiting for the interview to start, I was just trying to list some of the data that HR keeps, right? So you have something like employee name, age, religion, school that they went to, what their interests are, their children, their children's age, their spouse's name, their location, their parents' ages, what's their name, performance. You even know when they come to work, when they leave, if you have a record that tracks that. You have their status, whether they are married, whether they are single, you know where they live. You have their experience, you have their travel record, you have letters to the banks. And just asking myself, what kind of information can you get out of this? And going back to Google, let me use this Google example where out of their employee surveys that they did, they selected the best performing managers. They tracked them consistently. And they asked themselves, what makes these people great managers based on the review that their employees have given. And then after getting that information, they used that to design their own training for their managers. That look, this is a benchmark for a great manager. Anybody who is not, you have to start moving towards that direction. So this is data that was collected internally, analyzed, and used to design training. Now coming back to the list that I pull out. Now if you have all this information, when employees leave, you track it. Employee performance. Is there a connection between employee performance and where they stay? Is there a relationship between employee performance and maybe whether they are married, age of their children, and everything? What is hospital attendance? What's the relationship between hospital attendance and then attendance at work? Are people spending so much time in the office? Is it having effects on their health? You have a record of people's spouses. How often are people changing spouses? Is there a correlation between work and that? So there are so many permutations
on a different level,
that you can do with employee data.
That
can even put in a place where you can even predict. Another book that I read by I forgot the name, has just escaped me. She wrote David and Goliath. He said that studies of British prime ministers shows that most of them lost a parent when they were young. So through exposure to hardship and trauma growing up, sometimes prepare people to become great leaders. This is analysis that somebody has done. Can you also look at your best performing employees within your organization? What school did they go to? What kind of background do they have? What can you learn based on the data that you have, and use that to predict and influence your future recruitment to say that great performance, this is what I find they have. So is there likely that if I use the same benchmark, I can recruit better performance for my organizations going into the future?
That is interesting. That is really
So these are some of the
HR.
innovations that...
Yeah, but it's also relevant, right? And I think what a lot of employers don't understand, or even a lot of HR professionals, is how relevant this information is and how easier it makes your job in the long run, and also how cost effective it is. Because if you're able to make predictions based on data, we talk a lot. I think there's so much talk now about analytics and metrics, and it's actually critical information. I have great respect for HR professionals that actually specialize in that, because one, it's not easy. It's probably not the most fun part of it's not the most fun part of HR, but I think it's the most relevant, right? Because that's actually how you save your organization money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when you say something, you are not saying it
based
because
on,
you feel.
I guess, I think.
But you are saying because you have data to support
to
what
back
you are
you
saying.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so important, and we are so much involved with our digital process because we see how effective it is. Just last week, we created a staff directory file that we'll be using as part of our HR audits. So what that does is it actually lists a majority of what you mentioned. So you're tracking the employees, where they live, male, female, and you can sort the documents, right? So you can get a sense of how many single staff you have, how many married staff you have, the age, what is the age range, and you can make your predictions based on that. How much leave time do they have? You can even track all of that in there.
And how much
their
are
salary,
they taking?
exactly.
It's not what they have, but what
their
they are
salary.
taking.
That's important. You can't get away from that. There's so much talk also around organizational culture, and we plan to dedicate an entire episode just to talk about that, because it actually starts with organizational culture. If you can get people thinking digital, if you practice it in-house. I like that you mentioned giving people the tools, giving your employees the tools, because how can you enforce a digital culture but then people don't have laptops, or they don't have internet access, they don't have a means to...
So it'd be like watching a movie.
You're acting it out, right? But you're not really taking part.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And for instance, being able to use tools like Google, YouTube, as you mentioned. I always tell my staff, I said, before you come and ask me anything, let me be the last resort. Google, YouTube it, come up with your own solutions. And it's actually been working. Yeah. It's been working. So it saves you time from having to go to your supervisor and have them explain to you, because a lot of people don't have time nowadays.
Yeah, so coming back to your question, I mean, it brings a lot of innovation into the workplace if you use the resources available. And I think from the seminar, the Digital Summit, Kwame Anoselu,
he was funny, wasn't he?
To some extent,
You have to love Kwame.
I agree with you that HR have some of the largest database within the organization.
We sure do.
How are you using that information to your advantage and to the advantage of the employee? I mean, if you're looking at the data again, can you, based on ages of employee, children, and parents, even design benefits? If you use it, yes, because people are becoming personalized. We have to give everybody what they want, and the needs are very varied. That can even let you know whether you should go into mortgage schemes for your employee if they are living too far away. They are struggling to bring out the best in them, make them love the organization and get the best out of it.
It's about customizing the experience. You don't just customize for your clients, but you also customize for the employees as well to get the best out of them, right?
Yep.
All right, so we're moving on to our last question. I'm always sad to get to this point, but so what effects does technology have on productivity and the growth of a business?
I mean, from all that we've
Pretty
talked,
much, exactly. Everything we've mentioned leads up to.
yes, I mean,
point.
it increases productivity. It
Okay.
eliminates or reduces errors, because once you automate something, you don't have machines. Somebody said machines don't get tired. You know, they don't
Wow.
come here. They won't
They
come
don't
and
have
say,
emotional
they don't have-
intelligence.
They don't
Hello.
have emotions and everything. You know, once you automate it, you keep doing what you want it to do.
Exactly.
You know, you can set your phone and say, look, send text message to a particular number, like for the next 3 days. It will keep sending it so
send
long
it.
as you charge it.
Exactly.
You know, it's not going to come and say, I'm tired, I feel stressed. And
But who has to charge it, right? It's
I mean,
the
what does
human.
what does it take to charge it? Just plug
But
it
it's
into
the
the
human.
power.
Like we have to charge the. That's why
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that because people are frightened that they will lose their jobs to technology.
No,
You have to keep yourself
I mean,
relevant.
It's another podcast that I listened to said that,
Okay.
look, if these multinationals, big companies, bring robots or put robots into everything
Okay.
to the extent that we are jobless, who will buy the things that they are producing?
That's an interesting aspect. Never thought about that. Who will buy?
Who will buy what they are producing? So we'll still continue to have jobs
Yeah.
in a way. And history has also demonstrated that to a large extent, anytime there is new technology, new jobs are created. So once upon a time in Ghana, everybody was doing, then it was called space to space. Then from space to space, we move on to communication centers.
Wow.
From communication centers, now we are doing mobile money.
Interesting.
And the
I don't
numbers
think
that
I
are
heard
doing
of
mobile
space to
money
space.
today are even more than those who were doing the space to space. And also for every stage, it brings a new need that people have to
Exactly.
do.
Exactly. But this is why when you mentioned educating yourself, it's so important because you have to also stay ahead and you have to keep yourself relevant, right? To keep
Yeah.
up with this digital era. Because if your job is so simple and you can be replaced by a technology, then what is it that you can do differently from what, the robot can do? And I think that's where we talk about soft skills and then emotional intelligence and making yourself relevant to the position that you find yourself in. So
Yeah.
do you have any last words for our viewers?
This is funny and interesting, right? I think one thing that
like
maybe
funny.
we all need to do is to start playing computer games.
Stop or start?
Yeah.
Hey, some people can get addicted.
Yeah, get your
Really?
PlayStation or your Xbox.
Okay.
You know, I look at my children play. Sometimes I want to play with them.
Why don't you?
I'm going to start playing. Now the reason why I'm saying that is, there's a machine that can do surgery, right? A whole machine that can do
That
surgery.
can perform surgery.
Yeah. Now this is how it starts. Today is doing surgery. There are drones and a whole lot of things that are
Yes.
being controlled. Now, if you cannot control a simple car in a video game, how can you control a machine that is doing surgery?
Do you all play video games? Camera crew, do you all play video games? Why are you laughing? You're laughing.
How can you control a machine that is, instead of cutting to the right, you may end up cutting to the left if you are a doctor, or if you are operating a different machine, depending on your area, remotely. If you've not played the video games to understand and know that right is right, control a car on the screen without crashing, how can you control other things remotely?
Wow.
And that is where we are getting to.
You just brought so much childhood memories. Just with saying that. So you hear it here, right? You're supposed to be playing video games. Not so much, right? Where it's stopping you from work, but clearly it helps. It helps. That's interesting.
And I also like
Interesting analogy.
to take advantage of your platform because you mentioned Nationwide.
Yeah.
To say that thank Nationwide because
Yes.
they supported Digital HR Summit, not only nationwide, but X-Base Limited.
Yeah,
College,
Nationwide is doing amazing.
yeah, X-Base Limited was the College Giraffe, Iconic, Icon, OU Consult, Wapcom Media, and Check Africa.
Nice.
And we hope that next year we are going to get more sponsors to make it even bigger and greater.
You will. It was
and hopefully you also
partner
partner with us.
I would, listen, I would love to. When I saw your message on LinkedIn, I was just so excited. Even if I had something planned, I'm sure I would have canceled it just to be there. Because when we talk digital, I mean, KUSI Consultant, that's what we represent. All of our processes are digitized. We use very little paper, you know, and it just saves us, it saves so much work. It makes the process so, okay, see? No worries, it's fine, it's fine. I'm sure that's the only paper you'll probably use all year, so that's fine. But is there anything else? How can the viewers get in touch with you, your foundation?
Okay, so novaturientfoundation.org. When you get there, go on site, you see us there. You can send us email at p.crabbe@novaturientfoundation.org.
Nice.
If you go onto your browser and put in Novaturient Foundation, it will take all our social media sites will come up. Yeah, we are on Twitter at Novaturient Foundation, Instagram at Novaturient Foundation, Facebook at Novaturient Foundation, and then then we have our webpage. So you can always contact us. Our telephone number is 020-321-3321.
Okay. Did you get that, viewers? You want to say it again?
020-321-3321.
Excellent. Excellent. Peter, thank you so much. This has been probably the most calmest, coolest, and fun and also insightful episode yet. And I really just appreciate you taking the time. I just made you aware of this episode last week after the event, and you agreed to come on board. So thank you so much. Excited about what the future holds. Look forward to partnering with you. And viewers, as always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you gained so much insight. Be sure to go digital, because that's the way forward. It's the future of work. So start learning now and adapting to the change that's taking place. Again, I want to thank our amazing sponsors. Peter also mentioned Nationwide. They are a medical healthcare insurance company. They are sponsored to 30 Minutes with HR. Hotel, make sure to book all of your conferences here. Come here for weekend brunch. It's amazing. And then last but not least, Adansi Travels for all of your travel and tourism needs. And thank you again for watching. And I have to give credit to the young lady that did my makeup. Her name is Jessica, JQ Nails. Thank you very much, Jessica. And again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. All right. Whew. It's a wrap. Aww.